after Richard Allen was arrested. Nicholas McLeland, the prosecutor, as well as Superintendent Doug Carter, had no problem freely talking to the press concerning the arrest and a probable cause affidavit to secure the arrest of Richard Allen. They had no problem giving press conferences and talking about it. Once Richard Allen retained counsel, and once the probable cause affidavit was unsealed, Nicholas McLeland petitioned the court for a gag order. All of a sudden, he had a problem with this case being discussed. But once again, people, prior to Richard Allen having representation, someone to speak on his behalf, they had no problem with talking about the case. They had no problem walking the public into the doubt about Richard Allen's innocence. Now, the last 48 hours, I began to look at the probable cause affidavit for Richard Allen's arrest. And as I read this document, I kept realizing something is missing. It's something missing. But I never really could pinpoint it until I just thought about it. I quit reading it and just thought, if I was a defense attorney, or if I was self-representing myself under any criminal accusation such as this, what would I be looking for? And it dawned on me. I want to see the probable cause affidavit to search Richard Allen's home. I want to know the basis that led the Indiana police to conduct the search at Richard Allen's home. I have not heard the media, nor Nicholas McLeland, nor Superintendent Doug Carter mention that particular document. And I find that very, very unusual. Now, this takes me to Nicole Robinson, the FBI agent who filled out a probable cause affidavit for the search of Ronald Logan's home back in 2017, shortly after the murder of Libby and Abigail. She never mentions this .40 caliber bullet at all. Never. I want that to sink into your head. She never mentioned that .40 cal bullet. Therefore, since she never mentioned that bullet in a probable cause affidavit, what was the reason why she wanted to seize handguns from Ronald Logan? She never set the proper predicate for the search of weapons of like handguns or shotguns. She never set the predicate. That's one indication, people, that the judge that issued that probable cause warrant to seize any and everything such as computer floppy disks, it went beyond the scope of that, people. So since legal experts and these attorneys are not pointing that out to you, I must point it out to you. In other words, that search warrant was a fishing expedition. It wasn't warranted. And this is why, after they conducted the search, it produced nothing. Nothing whatsoever. This brings me to the probable cause affidavit for Richard Allen's arrest. We haven't seen a probable cause affidavit to search his home, which is very crucial in a piece of this puzzle. But when we look at the probable cause affidavit to arrest him, this is an arrest now. This probable cause affidavit only came after they searched his home, seized his weapons and bullets and other things from the home. And they basically saying in the affidavit that once they seized his gun and everything, the bullet casing, the unspent bullet between Libigel and Abbey body, shows that it was chambered from his gun. But this after y'all took his gun and the bullets from his home. So I am of the opinion, this is my opinion, that mysterious bullet, the media call it magic, I call it mysterious and suspect. That y'all saying that it comes from his gun after the fact. Prior to this event, they kept this case secret. So the world doesn't know if this magic bullet exists then or if it's being fused into this case in order to try to connect Richard Allen in some form or fashion. Never ever did they say that this bullet has his fingerprints on it. Bullets are a shell casing is non-porous, meaning it will retain a fingerprint for a very, very long time, years. But yet, it didn't have his fingerprint on it. Law enforcement carries Glocks and certain instruments of the nature of Richard Allen's P-22-6, in which you can use the very same bullets in other guns. They have already stated that the bodies wasn't there, it was staged and brought there. So this mysterious bullet could have already been there when the bodies was allegedly put there. So this mysterious bullet really caused more problems with their case. Because once again, this bullet is only mentioned after y'all searched this man's house and you found this gun. And because law enforcement have the same type of caliber of bullets that they could use, in my opinion, this is my opinion based on the totality of what they're saying, it is very conceivable that they are making this bullet up and it's a plant. They planted this evidence. That's just my theory about it. Because I'm basing this theory on the fact that Nicole Robinson, the FBI agent's probable cause affidavit to search Richard Logan Holmes, never mentioned that. It mentions the hair fibers, it mentions clothing fibers, but never that bullet. And I think that is very crucial. So going forward, it would be interesting to know if Richard Allen's defense team would subpoena the FBI agent, Nicole Robinson, to elicit testimony as to why she thought it was Ronald Logan and why she never mentioned that bullet. And not only that, once you keep a case secret just like the Indiana police have done, you can make up anything along the way, because from the inception of the case, you never reveal certain things. At a minimum, an incident report should have been generated and redacted where it could have been released to the public. And if a police incident does exist now, it's still questionable because you can backdate that. You can backstamp it. And that's the problem with trying to secretly do a case, because now you can control the narrative by the secrecy. Now, I can pretty much say, based on that probable cause affidavit, they don't have a case whatsoever, people. That bullet, like I said, it seeks to connect Richard Allen. And the charges in the charging instrument is still incomplete. The defense team must file a motion for a more definite statement spelling out the crime, how Richard Allen carried this crime out. In other words, the charging instrument must do more than say we're charging Richard Allen with 2 counts of murder under this. That's not sufficient. They must state in detail how he did it, in what weapon, how they think he did it, because that's what they are bound to prove. Because at this point in the game, it's just a general, he committed murder. And any defense team looking to defend you will move to dismiss the charging instrument because it doesn't state it doesn't state the facts clearly to defend. It's not enough to say, oh, we're charging you with murder. Now, you can waive that right and just go to trial on that, but you're going to lose because it's what they call a variance in evidence, all right? So, like, if you're charging somebody with murder, you still must state the facts, and they don't have it. At this point in the game, they say they believe he didn't act alone. Well, you don't have any proof that he even acted in his crime. See, that's one of the ways that they try to narrate his guilt. We believe he acted with somebody else. Well, what is your belief based on? Because nothing in the probable cause affidavit indicates that Richard Allen committed the acts that he's charged with, and nor does it ever advert to any other participants. When you look at the case, they don't know where Libby Abigail was murdered. They don't know where a blood trail is to say that it looked staged and their bodies was moved there. These are all assertions never backed by evidence. The prosecutor's case is so incomplete. They have never stated we have DNA evidence. We have hair fibers that match Richard Allen's. They haven't said any of this. Because if they have anything of hair fibers that match Richard Allen's, and then at this point, and then do they have a decent case against Richard Allen? But this long, mysterious bullet that pops up at the 12th hour is more damaging to the state than you think. At first blush, it looks as though, hey, Richard Allen is guilty. Once again, after you seize his gun and his bullets, that's the only time you hear about it. Remember, people, the law enforcement carry the same type of caliber bullet. So once you got Richard Allen gun, boom, you can pull the bullet there and pull it back and say, well, yeah, it matches the one at the scene. But once again, since the public was never private to what y'all found at that crime scene, it can reasonably be argued that you planted that bullet. So to the extent that the prosecutor is trying to convince the public that they have a solid case, they don't. Because their allegations toward Richard Allen is that he participated. He participated in this crime. And when they searched Richard Allen's home, they found nothing to connect him to the crime scene. They found no knife or cutting device that would connect him. So the next best thing to do is, look, this P2266 Sawyer, it used the same caliber bullet as us guys, the police department. We need to try to connect somebody. And so guess what? We will contrive evidence. We will contrive this story. And that is what I believe that they have done. And that is why they sought to keep the probable cause affidavit sealed. I believe that they was trying to railroad Richard Allen. I have never stated my position on whether I believe he's guilty or innocent. Because at this point in the game, there is simply not enough to even try to point a finger at him or away from him. So that's my position on it. I'm going to sign off. And once again, good morning to all my subscribers. Thank you for subscribing. And if you're not a subscriber and you found this information useful, subscribe and share.